Hello everyone, I am Preet and welcome to Relevant Myths. In this video, I will narrate to you the short story of Dushyant and Shakuntala as it was in the Mahabharata. The story of Dushyant Shakuntala is part of the Sambhav Parva, which is chapters 68 to 74 of the Adi Parva, the first of the 18 Parvas of the Mahabharata. The story of Shakuntala and Dushyant originally does come from the Mahabharata, but it is a really short story with no real insights into Shakuntala or Dushyant. It was when Kalidasa wrote the fictional play Abhigyan Shaakuntalam that the story became really popular. But in this video, I will tell you the short Mahabharat version of the story which served as the base for Kalidasa's play. So, with that background, let's begin. After sage Vaisampayan, who was a disciple of the great sage Vyasa, had convinced King Janmejai to stop his terrible snake sacrifice or the Sarp Satra, he wanted to listen the entire story of his ancestors. King Janmejai was the king of Hastinapur and descendant of the Kuru dynasty. His grandfather was the brave Abhimanyu who was treacherously killed by the Kauravas in the Kurukshetra war, and his great grandfather was the mighty Pandav Arjun himself. Janmejai wanted to know about all of his ancestors from the very beginning, when the Kuru dynasty was called the Paurav dynasty. Sage Vaisampayan told him that the founder of Paurav dynasty was King Dushyant. Dushyant was king of Hastinapur and son of King Ilin and Queen Radhantari. One day, while on a hunt with his army, Dushyant reached a beautiful forest full of huge trees and colorful flowers. In that forest, he saw the ashram of sage Kanva, a descendant of sage Kashyap, one of the Saptarishis. Eager to take blessings from sage Kanva, Dushyant halted his entire army and with just his commander and priest entered the serene ashram. He saw many rishis doing yajna and giving offerings to the gods, but he didn't see Rishi Kanva himself. So he went outside the sage's hut and inquired whether he was around. Hearing Dushyant's voice, a beautiful young woman came out of the hut and welcomed him. She gave Dushyant a seat in the hut and introduced herself as Shakuntala, sage Kanva's daughter. Dushyant was absolutely smitten by Shakuntala's beauty, but was also surprised by the fact that an ascetic like sage Kanva had a daughter. He inquired about it to Shakuntala, and she then proceeded to tell him her birth story. A few years ago, Vishwamitra, now a rishi but a former Kshatriya king, was doing such extreme penance that Indra, the king of the Devas, became scared as his throne in the heavens started shaking. Being a really insecure god, he called upon the Apsara Menka and instructed her to seduce Vishwamitra in order to break his penance. Menka went to the site where Vishwamitra was meditating and started dancing in front of him. Vishwamitra was mesmerized by Menka, and soon enough he fell for her and invited her to sit on his lap. They made love to each other multiple times, and in due course Menka gave birth to a girl. Menka's mission was now complete. She had broken the sage's penance. She didn't want to become a mother and live under boundaries, so she left the baby girl on the banks of the river Malini and returned back to the heavens. At the bank, many vultures and other birds surrounded the baby girl and protected it from Rakshas and other wild animals. Sage Kanva was passing by that place, and seeing the girl, he immediately decided to adopt her as his own daughter and named her Shakuntala, or the one who was protected by Shakuntas or birds. The moment Shakuntala completed her birth story, Dushyant immediately told her, "Be my wife, O beautiful one. My entire kingdom is yours from today. Marry me, Shakuntala, according to the process of Gandharva Vivaha and be my queen." Gandharva Vivaha is one of the 8 forms of marriage in Indian traditions. Here, the man and woman who have immense desire for each other get married instantly without involvement of anyone's parents and without chantings of any mantras. In short, Gandharv Vivah is marriage by love and desire. Shakuntala agreed to the marriage, but on the condition that her son from him will be the future king of Hastinapur. Dushyant, without thinking for even a second or consulting his priest and minister, instantly agreed to Shakuntala's condition. Dushyant and Shakuntala then made immense love to each other in the ashram and were thus truly husband and wife as per Gandharv Vivah. Then, while leaving the ashram, Dushyant asked Shakuntala to wait for Hastinapur's greatest soldiers to arrive in order to escort her to the city. When sage Kanva arrived back to the ashram, he was also pleased by the marriage and happily told Shakuntala to ask for a boon from him. Shakuntala, moved by the desire of benefiting Dushyant, asked for the boon that Paurav kings may remain ever virtuous and may never be deprived of their thrones. Time passed, but nobody came to escort Shakuntala to Hastinapur. Meanwhile, she became pregnant with Dushyant's child. She kept the child in her womb for 3 years and after a lot of pain gave birth to a boy. When the boy was born, Devas from the skies predicted that he would rule the entire earth. The boy grew unnaturally quickly and was beyond comparison in every way, having a handsome body along with superior intellect and unrivaled valor. He used to play with dangerous wild animals like tigers, lions, bulls, and elephants, sometimes even riding on them. The boy was raised in sage Kanva's ashram itself, where the sage himself did many rituals and yajnas for his protection and betterment. All the ashram rishis named the child Sarvadaman, or the subduer of all, because of his extreme strength and ability to tackle and stop wild animals. When the boy was 6 years old, sage Kanva finally told his disciples to escort Shakuntala to Dushyant's palace, and the time had now come for the boy to become the prince of Hastinapur. Shakuntala, along with the boy escorted by sage Kanva's disciples, reached Hastinapur and presented herself and the boy in front of King Dushyant. She cheerfully described the child's strength and valor and reminded him of the promise he had given her before the Gandharv Vivah that the child will become the future king. But Dushyant, refusing to even recognize Shakuntala, said, "I don't remember anything. Who are you, you wicked witch in the attire of an ascetic? Go away or stay or do whatever you wish, but I have nothing to do with you." Shakuntala was absolutely shocked after hearing that. She became completely still and couldn't even move. She was overcome with extreme grief and sorrow, but somehow mustered up the strength to speak and said, "Even after knowing everything, how can you behave like this and commit the sin of lying? I am a wife who is devoted to her husband. It is true that I have come of my own accord, but that doesn't give you the right to treat me with disrespect. I am your wife and therefore I deserve to be treated respectfully. Don't you remember, O king, that you had come to my father's ashram? I am the daughter of the great Rishi Vishwamitra and the foremost of Apsaras Menka, but they also left me at the banks of the river Malini. What sinful acts did I do in my past life that I was cast away at birth by my parents and at present I am cast away by you? I am still ready to go back to my father's refuge, but please do not cast off this child who is your own son." Hearing all this, Dushyant said, "Why should I believe anything you said? Women generally lie anyways. Your mother was the indecent Menka and your father was the lustful Kshatriya turned Brahman Vishwamitra. Your words deserve no credit. It's no surprise that you speak like a vulgar woman as you have been born lustfully. You are a fraud and a liar. Because you just told me that this child is just a small boy, but he seems really big and powerful. Go away, you witch in ascetic clothes. Do whatever you want, but get out of here." Hearing that, Shakuntala also got angry and told him O king, an ugly person considers himself more beautiful and handsome than others only until he sees his own face in the mirror. When he himself sees his own ugly face, it is then that he realizes the difference between himself and others. Truly handsome people never taunt anybody. You, being a liar yourself, are accusing me of lying? Don't underestimate the value of truth. Truth is God Himself, so don't violate your pledge. If you still don't believe me, then I will go away on my own. Indeed, your companionship should be avoided. But when you are dead, O King Dushyant, this son of mine will rule the entire earth. Shakuntala then stormed off the place along with the boy. While Shakuntala was leaving, suddenly a voice came from the skies. Everyone in the city could hear that voice. The Devas from Swarg started speaking and told Dushyant that Shakuntala was indeed telling the truth and that the boy was his own son. The voice then named the boy Bharat, or the cherished, and instructed Dushyant to keep Bharat with him. Dushyant, seeing that the purity of his son was now established by the Devas themselves, was overjoyed. He picked up the boy and made him sit on his lap. He conducted all the rituals of naming a child and officially named him Bharat. All of Dushyant's priests and ministers also cheerfully welcomed the new prince. Dushyant also called back Shakuntala and told her, "Oh dear Shakuntala, my marriage with you took place privately, so people would suspect that we were only lustfully united and not husband and wife. And that suspicion would have been furthered to our son also, and he wouldn't have been regarded as of pure birth. So I thought of this way in order to establish your purity. And so, Shakuntala, I beg your forgiveness for each and every harsh word that I said earlier. You are my dearest, and I love you more than anything else in this world." Dushyant then welcomed Shakuntala into the palace with flowers and perfume. Bharat then went on to become the greatest Paurav king ever, and the Paurav dynasty started being called the Bharat dynasty. So this was the story of Dushyant and Shakuntala as told in the Mahabharata. Thank you for listening to me, and if you enjoyed this story, please give this video a like and subscribe to Relevant Myths for more such interesting and unknown stories from the huge world of Indian as well as world mythology. Also share this video to your family and friends, and you can check out these other videos of mine as well. Thank you for watching and have an awesome day.